Craftsman, the iconic American tool brand your father swore by, started with a $500 purchase that became a $900 million brand, and the broken promise that may have killed it for good. In 2017, Stanley Black Decker bought Craftsman with a bold pledge to bring American toolmaking back home. Socket wrenches, ratchets, and mechanics tool sets that built America's garages. 9 years later, they are making more tools overseas than ever before, while competitors like Milwaukee Tool dominate the cordless market, and Husky tools fill Home Depot shelves. To understand how we got here, you've got to go back to 1927. Arthur Barrows, who ran the hardware department at Sears, stumbled across a name he liked: Craftsman. He bought the rights from a small outfit called the Marion Craftsman Tool Company for $500. About $9,000 in today's money. For that price, Sears grabbed what would become arguably the most recognized tool brand in American history. Here's something most people don't realize. Sears never manufactured a single Craftsman tool. Not one. Every wrench, every socket, every ratchet got made under contract by outside companies: Plum, New Britain, Moordrop Forge, ESCO, and later Stanley, Danaher, Apex Tool Group, Western Forge. The tools carried the Craftsman name, but they were forged by some of the finest tool makers in the country. Made in America by American workers in American factories. That's what people were really buying. For decades, this arrangement worked beautifully. The 30s through the 70s are often called the golden age of Craftsman. You bought a set of wrenches, they lasted a lifetime. If one broke, you walked into Sears and they handed you a new one, no questions asked. That lifetime warranty was not just a policy, it was a covenant between the brand and the people who trusted it. But then things started to change. Through the 80s and 90s, Sears began quietly outsourcing more production overseas. By 2010, the shift became undeniable. Hand tools manufactured by Apex Tool Group, ratchets, sockets, wrenches, the core of the Craftsman identity, began being sourced from China and Taiwan, and Sears kept packaging them as if nothing had changed. That deception may have been the most damaging thing they ever did to the brand. Customers opened the box expecting American steel and got something else entirely. At the same time, getting that legendary warranty honored became a nightmare. Store employees would argue with you. Managers would push back. The two pillars Craftsman was built on, American manufacturing and the no-hassle warranty, were both crumbling. By the mid-2010s, Sears itself was circling the drain, bleeding money, closing stores, and desperately looking for ways to raise cash. Enter Stanley Black Decker. On January 5, 2017, Stanley announced it would purchase the Craftsman brand for approximately $900 million, $525 million at closing, $250 million after 3 years, plus annual royalties for 15 years. The deal closed on March 9th. CEO Jim Lorry didn't mince words. He told the street that the products had been left to devolve over time, migrating from made in America to virtually everything being made in China and Mexico. The message was clear. Stanley Black Decker was going to fix this through reshoring and advanced automation. In August 2018, the company launched a refreshed brand identity with over 1,200 new products. About 40% of Craftsman products were American-made at that point, with an ambitious stated goal: 70% domestic production within a few years. Then came the crown jewel. On May 15, 2019, Stanley announced a $90 million investment in a brand new plant in Fort Worth, Texas, 425,000 square feet, 500 jobs, 60 million tools per year, sockets, ratchets, wrenches, full mechanics tool sets. Cutting-edge automation would make it competitive with overseas plants that relied on cheaper manual labor. Craftsman was coming home. The plant opened in late 2020, delayed by the pandemic but still carrying enormous expectations. And then, silence. By 2022, there was nothing about the Fort Worth factory and Stanley Black Decker's investor materials. A $90 million facility designed to be the centerpiece of American tool manufacturing, and the company stopped talking about it entirely. On March 20th, 2023, we found out why. Stanley announced the Fort Worth plant was closing. 175 workers were laid off, not 500. The factory never reached its employment target, never came close to 60 million tools per year. The automation technology that was supposed to make domestic production viable simply did not work as planned. A company spokesperson explained, "We endeavored to make Craftsman mechanics tools in a new and innovative way. The events of COVID and supply chain challenges, coupled with technology that did not meet our expectations, resulted in the discontinuation of operations." Snap-on CEO Nick Pinchuk offered a blunter take on why automation fails in toolmaking. Sometimes the ease of installing automation is a little bit overestimated. Where that comes from is people don't really understand how the product is made in the first place. There's a bittersweet footnote. A Wall Street Journal reporter bought an 88-piece Craftsman set at a Lowe's near Chicago, containing a card reading "Forged in Texas." Those sets, the few that actually made it to store shelves, have become collector's items, reselling at premium prices online. Tools meant to represent a manufacturing renaissance became rare artifacts instead. Since Fort Worth closed, the trend has only accelerated in the wrong direction. Stanley Black Decker launched a $2 billion cost-cutting initiative in 2022. The workforce dropped from roughly 48,500 in 2024 to 43,500 in 2025. Facilities in South Carolina were shuttered. In February 2026, they announced the closure of their tape measure plant in New Britain, Connecticut. 300 jobs gone, and 183 years of history in the city where Stanley has been headquartered since 1843. State Representative Dave DeFronzo said it plainly. "It's a sad day for New Britain. Stanley has a long history here, and slowly but surely, its presence has been eroded." Meanwhile, Stanley has opened new plants in Mexico. Most Craftsman tools now come from China, Taiwan, and India. The company still claims about 40% domestic production, but read the labels carefully. "Made in USA with global materials" has become the standard qualifier, often printed in tiny font. What's actually still American-made? Some tape measures from Sedalia, Missouri. A few tool chests and rolling cabinets. That's about it. So what happened to 70%? What happened to the promise? The uncomfortable truth is that Stanley Black Decker is a Fortune 500 corporation that's been in business for 175 years. Making money is always the top priority. They made a bet that reshoring would be economically viable, and when it wasn't, they moved on. A new CEO, Christopher Nelson, took over in October 2025. Whether he charts a different course remains to be seen. But the gap between what was promised and what was delivered has left a generation of tool buyers disillusioned. Many turning to Harbor Freight's Pittsburgh tools for budget options, or premium brands like Matco for quality. One longtime Craftsman customer summed it up. "I bought USA-made Craftsman hammers, wrenches, ratchets, screwdrivers, pliers, tool sets, and more back when Sears still owned the brand. I keep hoping Craftsman could get back to that, but I no longer have faith that they will." A name that cost $500 in 1927, a brand sold for $900 million in 2017, and a promise that 9 years later remains unfulfilled. That's the story of Craftsman in America.